Hello everybody and welcome into the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series live tonight from the home of motorsports, Charlotte, North Carolina, here at the beautiful Charlotte Motor Speedway for one of the longer events of the season. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Well, qualifying is complete. Drivers are getting the parade lap going, so let's get right into it with tonight's starting grid. How about sitting on the pole? It'll be Colton Hardy for Loose Lug Nuts. Actually, White Knuckle Racing this season, excuse me. David Traylor, his teammate, will start to his outside in second. Then it's going to be Bill Hales and Clinton Woodby back in row 2. Evan Schilling alongside Michael Miller, those two in row 3. Then it's Mark Beverly and Jesse Wise back in row 4 with Keith Prince in 9th and Kevin Winker rounding out your top 10. Jay Stinson starts alongside Haas Beverly. Those two cars going to be making up row number 6 here tonight. Row 7, Justin Parham and Joe Yakes. And then it's Matthew Fritz and Dylan Paws behind them in row 8. Jesse Calloway, Jonathan Dominics in row 9. Rick LePage, Lance Thompson round out your top 20. And it's Eric Hegdahl starting in 21st. Quick look to race info. It's the winning bid 250 here in these Xfinity cars. 167 laps. There will be that stage break on lap 30. 95% fuel. 4 sets of tires. Fixed setups as always. 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Here we go. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Charlotte. Good restart as Colton Hardy will lead the field off into turn 1 for the first time here tonight. Charlotte is a fun track. Haven't actually had a chance to see these cars at this track much in my broadcasting career, so I'm excited to see what we got here tonight. As already you see all the 2x2 further back as everybody jockeying for position still on the inside. How about the 2 of Jay Stinson? Going to try to make something happen here as you see Haas Beverly wash up the banking just a little bit there on the high side. Joe Yakes in the 87, he's going to tuck in behind this 19. It's really, I think at least early here, going to be kind of a race to the bottom. The trucks are a little bit different here at Charlotte, but we'll see kind of a mix of drivers that are able to work the top and drivers that are able to work the bottom. These Xfinity cars, a little bit more horsepower, at least at these 1.5 miles with a little bit less downforce. And so I think that's why we're going to see kind of everybody fighting just to get to the bottom, especially, you know, we talked about the race info. What we didn't mention to you, though, was the weather in this race. And that is a really cool track temp here. Not the coolest one we've ever seen, but, you know, 83 degrees. And, you know, we're continuing to go into the night, so the lights will get brighter here. That track temp could go down even more. As you can see, actually, right now, it's just about 7:13 sim time. There's the sun. Just has set behind the condos there, just above the grandstands in turn number 1. But as this race continues to go further in tonight, watch for that track temp to potentially cool down a little bit more. So Colton Hardy currently is your leader. David Traylor second. The yellow and black number 54. Then it's the 77. Strong run here early for Michael Miller right now. And Michael Miller, one of the drivers who's, of course, still looking to see if he can grab his first win of the season. Maybe tonight's his night. That's going to be the big question. And really the dominant team as of recent, and we've seen it, it feels like pretty much each and every week, has been the dominance that we've seen put on by, of course, White Knuckle Racing. And David Traylor, Colton Hardy, a couple of others that have just, I mean, I don't want to say they're dominating the whole season, but boy, if you only watch the last couple, that's what you would think with the runs that they've been able to put together. So you'll be hearing me talk about them a couple times here tonight. By the way, we did put up a new scoring tower, so let me know what you think, if you like it better than the old one, if you don't like it as much. Certainly appreciate that, as the top 5 are still all within a second of each other, and then it's Mark Beverly, the first car kind of outside of that 1 second reach. He's kind of the first driver, though, also trying to maybe give this top lane a chance. You see him starting to work that race car up the track just a little bit, at least through 3 and 4. We'll hop on board here with Mark, see if he decides to try the same maneuver here through 1 and 2. And it's really interesting because, again, 1.5 miles, you think to yourself, well, why don't both turns run the same? And it's just they don't. Built a little bit different, and the biggest difference, I would say, is turn 3 and 4 here at Charlotte feels a lot tighter than 1 and 2 does. 1 and 2 feels a little bit more open. You feel like you can work really the top or the bottom without issue. 3 and 4, there's a point in the corner where you pretty much feel like you have to lift until you get to that point in the corner. If you try to get in the gas too soon, though, it is very easy to get up into the outside safer barrier off of turn 4. So I think that'll be the area tonight that we see a lot of guys maybe having trouble with, and I think 1 and 2 will be the more opportunistic side of the racetrack, where if you're going to try to make a pass happen, maybe that's where you try to do it at. All right, just behind Mark Beverly right now, the 42. Kevin Winker, one of the super speedway specialists of the lead, looking for a good run here tonight, and he's got a little bit of bumper traffic here behind him. See the 19 right there of Justin Parham trying to make something happen. Excuse me, just behind Justin Parham, rather, Jesse Wise on the back bumper of Parham that was trying to make something happen. Then the 3 of Keith Prince now. He's going to take a dive to the inside here. The 4 of Jesse Calloway up top. Good-looking green and black Chevy Camaro for him here tonight. He's got the Races Resources. So I believe it's the Racers Resources sponsorship on tonight. Sure enough, he does. The big RR in the middle of the hood. Oh, man. I mean, I know it's single-filed out pretty quick, but the battle, I don't want to say the battle for the lead, but certainly the spread between these top 10, it is not separated much. And I know that you can get, obviously, a decent amount of draft here at Charlotte, especially when tires aren't necessarily too worn out, but I didn't expect to see them all staying this close for this long. And you figure David Traylor probably not pushing his teammate too hard right now. I mean, he really doesn't have a reason to try to push that issue at the moment. But, of course, as this run goes on here and we start to get, more importantly, closer to that first stage break, and really the only stage break of the race, I think that's when maybe we see Traylor start to dial it up a little bit himself right here. Colton Hardy, of course, already with a win on the season. David Traylor with multiple wins on the season. Speaking of Colton Hardy, he is one of our driver cams here tonight, so we'll hop on board here in the virtual and the real cockpit with Colton Hardy. And he's got clean air right now, so of course he has the advantage of getting a little bit more downforce on the front nose of his race car, driving a Toyota Supra. And David Traylor just behind him, getting caught in a little bit of dirty air, but he sees Hardy struggling just a little bit there. And I don't know if it's so much Hardy struggling as it's just David Traylor has found that little bit more speed. But right now, David Traylor just kind of following in the wake of his teammate. Car looks very stable. You can see the wheel movement there on the left of your screen, and it's not moving too much. David Traylor, again, looks very comfortable as it stands right now. And then back in the 9th spot, Jesse Wise, down a position from where he started this race at. And what's a little interesting here for Jesse that I'm hearing, and you might have noticed it there, we'll watch kind of his approach here through 1 and 2. But it sounded like he's taking a little bit of a shallow entry into the corner, and you got to be careful with that because these cars, they'll get really tight here really quickly. You start taking that shallow entry too many times, kind of trying to get the clean air on entry to the corner, but at the same time, he's giving up all the grip on the front tires each lap that he does that. Scrubs them off. So we'll see if Jesse Wise makes an adjustment or keeps it going where he's at. Looks like that time he chose to go to the high side. And now the 53 of Bill Hales. He's closing in on the 77 of Michael Miller, looking to make a move here down the front stretch. Nothing doing just yet. He might set him up here for 1 and 2 if he can get to the inside. Can't do it. Ooh, trouble. Caution is out. Further back, 1 in the wall. Dylan Paws, Jesse Wise, and Jonathan Dominic's. Huge damage. So 69 of Wise. I'm trying to figure out, does he still have... I guess he does. For a minute, I wasn't sure if he had right front suspension still. He does, but it is certainly worse for wear. That car is totaled. He's going to have to go into the pits, guaranteed. Look at the rear, the right rear. Oh, my goodness. I don't think he's going to be able to get this thing back to the pits. Yeah, there you go. He's going to tow it. Yikes. That's a really, really tough break for Jesse Calloway. All right, let's go back. Take a look at it here. Excuse me, Jesse Wise. I apologize. Let's go back and look at it here. Show you what happens for Jesse. And this all starts coming off turn 4. And guess what? It's pretty much exactly what I told you earlier. Watch Jesse Wise here running the high side. We had just been riding on board with him. I talked about you scrub those right front tires. These cars will get really, really tight. I don't know if he was trying that high lane because the car was tight or if he was just trying to find something different. But that is exactly what happens. We'll show you here what it looks like from the cockpit view. As you see, I mean, he's got that wheel pretty much full lock left. He's trying to get in the gas, and the car's just washing up the track on him. Then he gets in the wall, and now he tries to save it, overcorrects, and bam. Hard to the outside safety barrier, and then gets tagged not once but twice. The second one was Jonathan Dominic's. That was a real big hit that you saw. And I will show you that, what it looked like from some of the camera angles. So that does really all the damage here. I mean, watch it. As soon as... And this is a problem, right? Because you get into that outside wall, and the natural reaction is, jerk the wheel left, try to get off of it. But then he realizes he's got to correct. He starts spinning the rear tires just a little bit. And when he does so, that sends the car back to the right, overcorrects, and that's a big shot into the outside wall. You can see it immediately breaks that right front suspension. He doesn't have much control now. Just holding on, hoping he doesn't get hit, but unfortunately, that's exactly what happens. Gets hit twice, as a matter of fact. Big damage. And for the onrushing Saw the 3 of Keith Prince just missed him. That was the 10, actually, of Dylan Paws, who had the heavy contact, and then Jonathan Dominic's kind of finishes the job off. That's what ripped the front end off of his number 94 Toyota Supra. See if I can show you what this looks like here from a little bit of a different angle. This might be a good look here. Watch as you see him come into the picture. Actually, that was a little bit too far ahead. Let's back it up here. And I'll show you, let's see here, if you can actually see where he makes contact with the wall. Yeah, you can. Watch it here. We'll play it slow for you. That wall, again, it comes up really, really quick. That thick safer barrier there probably takes about another 2 to 3 feet of room that you would have had way back in the old days to wash up out of the picture. And then right there, just runs out of room, starts to go down, and then as the car starts to correct itself back up, that's where he runs into trouble, and bam, there's one hit. Everybody's trying to dodge the 3 of Keith Prince. Somehow does that. I don't know how Keith Prince missed that one. Holy moly. Watch how close this was from the cockpit view of Keith Prince. He's going to see this happen. Oh my goodness, and that was at full speed here. I'll show you from the nose cam. Man, does not get much closer than that. Keith Prince was very, very lucky, and if he hits him there, that destroys the right front of this 3 car, and that kind of suspension damage can end your race. Boy, that's just how close that one was. A lucky escape there for Keith Prince, and an unfortunate break for Jesse Wise in the 69 and Jonathan Dominic's in the 94. Dylan Pauls as well. I believe he also got some damage from that, so we'll keep an eye to see if he's able to get that fixed up. So Dylan Pauls in the 10, rocking the Navy paint scheme here tonight. So that's a good look for Dylan. The number 10 cars, we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing up front. Colton Hardy currently being scored as your leader in the number 97. Then you've got David Traylor in the 54. He's in second. Michael Miller back in third with Bill Hales fourth. Evan Schilling in fifth. Then it's Kevin Winker back in sixth. Mark Beverly in seventh. Justin Parham in eighth. Joe Yates ninth. And Jesse Calloway currently rounding out your top 10. And so when we go back green here, it's going to be 17 of 167 laps complete. That'll put us at exactly 13 laps to go here in the stage. The only other chance to get points here tonight until the end of the race is this stage. And you're good to go on fuel, good to go on tires. Question is, who's going to be able to win the short duel to the stage break? Green flag is back in the air. 17 of 167 complete. It's another good restart for the 97 of Hardy. You see him lead the field off towards turn number 1. He'll lead him now as they rocket through 1 and 2. David Traylor trying to shuffle up the track to get second. He will be able to do that. That was Mark Beverly, I believe, in the 55 just behind him there, who was trying to, that was Bill Hales, rather, in the 53, who was trying to sneak to the outside on the straightaway. Couldn't do it. Now Bill Hales washed up a little bit on the entry to 3. He's going to fall back and lose maybe another spot off of 4 here. Evan Schilling trying to hold strong as well. Can he slide up in front of Kevin Winker? The answer is yes, he can. Now, more side-by-side here. The 77, Michael Miller was not able to get cleared down into the corner. Beverly's still going to hold him even. And finally, Miller will be able to clear up. But I was just going to say that all that side-by-side stalled those 2 cars out, and that allowed Evan Schilling and Kevin Winker to pull right back up into the mix. Winker is going to take a look to the outside. Big wash-up for the 42 right there. And he had to pay the price on exit. Loses a lot of momentum. And now he's going to have the 18 to Evan Schilling to his inside, trying to reclaim this position. And Schilling, can he make it work right here? On the inside, as long as you have enough room to slide up a little bit, the inside is going to be better as tires wear. But if Kevin Winker, pins this 18 down enough through the corner, Evan Schilling's going to have 2 choices. Either don't lift and wreck the race car, or get out of the throttle and let Winker have it. But it doesn't look like it's even going to have to come down to that, because Winker was able to get clear into turn 3. And so that now puts Kevin Winker up 5 positions from where he started this race at. And he currently sits as the last man inside the top 5 and 5th. Back up front, the 2 teammates, David Traylor, Colton Hardy, battle it out right now. And both of them with 2 onboard cams. Let's show you what the different views look like for these 2. Colton Hardy right now, he is mirror driving. That's pretty much what you do if you're in the lead, especially on an early run when everybody's this close, is you're just making sure that you kind of try to manage the run that Traylor's able to get. It's not like Talladega or Daytona where he can just switch lanes to change the run, but he can certainly take away some of the air off the nose of that 54 machine on entry to the corner, which is exactly what he does right there. David Traylor, though, on fresh tires, doesn't affect him as bad. He's able to roll pretty smooth off the corner. And you go back, you change that up for David Traylor right now. The good news for him is he doesn't have really anybody right behind him. You can see Bill Hales there out of the gearbox, but he's far enough back where David can pretty much focus forward. And here we go. He's got a big run. What's he going to do here with the 97? And will Colton Hardy let him have it? Traylor's got the advantage. I think Hardy's going to let him have this here off and towards turn number 1. Sure enough, Colton Hardy says, hey man, you're faster right now. Go ahead and take it. And that now moves David Traylor to the lead here at Charlotte. First time in the lead here tonight. I'm sure we'll be calling his name quite a bit. Is Colton Hardy. Look at that. His teammate's actually going to try to give him some fight back here. Colton Hardy will take the inside. We'll see if that's enough to get the spot back. Yeah, I don't know. Traylor's got the momentum on the outside down the straights. Hardy's got the shorter route in the corner here. And looks like Hardy's going to send it back in deep, and it will stick. Colton Hardy will take the lead right back from his teammate. How about that? Just when you think a guy's giving it up and fading back, he says, I don't think so. Makes another charge. So now Colton Hardy, your pole sitter, will go back to the point yet again here tonight. 2 by 2, Michael Miller, Kevin Winker. Miller's on the outside, Winker's on the inside. Saw the 55 of Mark Beverly behind them, and ooh, see a couple drivers right there getting into the wall off of turn 4. One of them was the Noma Motorsports entry. I believe it was Justin Parham who we saw with that slight contact. He's okay in this case. Again, got to be really careful. We've seen some close calls now. The drivers getting into that outside safer barrier. But again, a lucky break right there for Parham, if that was indeed the car that caught my eye there in the back. I know it was one of the Noma Motorsports drivers, but looks like he's okay, and I mean, we can check. As a matter of fact, we'll check it right here, but I was going to say, we'll kind of be looking around here as the race goes on at some of these drivers that have been getting tight, see if we see any damage on the right front of those race cars. That's usually a good indication of that they've been getting into the wall, but it looks like for Parham, he's clean right now. And so back up front, Colton Hardy, he's going to be coming to just 4 laps to go on the stage this next time. And the 2-car battle for the lead has since turned back into 3. Bill Hales now knocking on the back door of David Traylor. Let's see if he can maybe make this pass work. He's going to have to get around 1 before he can get around 2. And now they've pulled, how about the 10 of Dylan Paws who we just saw in that last incident? He went and got the car fixed, and he's up here running to potentially steal a stage. I wonder if for Dylan Paws, he took some fresher tires. I'm thinking this 10 car had to. He must have. I mean, look how much faster he is just jumping to the outside. So that's going to be my guess right there, is that Dylan Paws took fresher tires when he had to go in to take that fast repair. And that might have been the good call here, because it's looking like that very well could get him this stage win. And Dylan Paws going to go all the way to the point here, potentially. Colton Hardy not going to be able to slide up in front of his teammate. And how about this? Dylan Paws now with just 3 laps to go on the stage is looking to capitalize. Still got to get around the 97 of Hardy, and he'll be able to do that right here through 1 and 2. Hardy slipped up just a little bit. And now the real battle for the stage points are going to be for second, because now that Dylan Paul's got clear, I think he is going to set the sails, the 10 car, with fresher tires. And as a matter of fact, we can actually show you here the lap times over the course of the last few laps for Dylan Paws compared to David Traylor or Colton Hardy, who have both been running fast. And you see Paws right there. I mean, where he wasn't dealing with traffic, he was almost half a second a lap quicker, and then just that last lap, almost a half a second quicker again. So for Dylan Paws here, this is just about somehow don't make the mistake and cost yourself, because he's the only one that can beat himself at this point, as he now has that gap up to about a second over second place. And this will be coming to just 1 lap to go here in the stage. Caution would end it if we got one at this point. They're still racing hard for second, but up front, it is still all the 10 car of Dylan Paws trying to grab. I don't know if it'd be his first stage win of the season. I know he's still trying to grab the first win of the season, but certainly stage points, a good start to that. Good little momentum booster, but more importantly, it helps you out with the point standings. As we know, every point matters once you get towards the end of the regular season. So as the 10 now of Dylan Paws will work through 3 and 4 for the final time here in stage 1. How about this? A little bit of tire strategy, and Dylan Paws takes the stage 1 win here at Charlotte. Nicely done by Dylan. And it looks like it's going to be Traylor followed by Colton Hardy for the other 2 podium spots. And so for White Knuckle Racing, how about a 1-2-3 to start this race off? Nicely done. And so now they're going to have to set up here for this next stage, and you wonder if, Dylan Paws getting those stage points, is he accepting the fact that he's going to have a tire set less. I mean, obviously he's going to have to accept that, but was that kind of the strategy? I wonder. We'll have to find out. We'll get a word with him. Once these guys complete their pit stops, everybody will top off on fuel and tires. So as they do that and as they catch the pace car, we're going to take a quick break. We'll go side by side and we'll be right back. Stick with us at Charlotte.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you really drove, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill.
On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway for the winning bid 250 here for the Asphalt Outlaws Xfinity Series. Stage 1 and the only stage of the race is complete. Let's see if we can get a word here with your stage winner. Hey Dylan, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do, Austin.
Well, you grabbed the stage win. It looks like it was off of some strategy play. Maybe took one of those fresh set of tires. How'd you feel on newer tires compared to everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, that felt absolutely amazing. I just flew by the field there. Obviously, you saw it on the broadcast. I got involved with the wreck with Jesse there. So my only options really were to take tires because my tires were screwed after I hit him. So I took the tires and I was like, why not just not sit here in the back and wait for the stage and just go and get the stage win here. So I went there and I just kind of forced it all the way there, and I was just flying around those guys. So yeah, that felt great though to get that.
Absolutely. Well, now that you're down a set of tires, how does that kind of change the strategy, change the game plan here, knowing that we still got a long ways to go in this race?
I mean, it absolutely changes it. Like my teammate was just saying, we might have to make 3 more stops from here, which really shocks me. And I would be in so much trouble if we would have to make 3 stops. But they might not take tires on that last third stop because it would be such a short stop. But yeah, it definitely worries me with the amount of cautions that this league has had, like especially well, not even at Iowa as much, but on the restarts and stuff. You know how that goes. That definitely worries me. But I got a stage win, so I'm good on points there, and I feel like that was the right call.
Well, a stage win tonight and a podium finish last week. You got the momentum going. We'll see if you can keep it going. We'll see if we're talking to you tonight, potentially in victory lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it, Austin. Thanks.
Well, there you go. All right, as we slide him back down, these guys will get ready to get back to green flag racing. And boy, 3 stops. Wow. I didn't think it'd be quite that many myself, but these guys obviously have all the info, and of course they have the fuel mileage because they're driving the car. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But couple interesting little tidbits there that we were to get from Dylan Paz talking about, if they do have to make 3 stops, what is the question for tire? He feels like he would be in trouble, but at the same time, he feels like a lot of drivers maybe wouldn't even consider taking tires on that last stop. If that's the case, he might be okay. Either way, we're getting ready to see what the 10 car can do now as he'll restart in the front row here with David Traylor. And the final stage here are going to be well over 130 laps. Green flag is back in the air at Charlotte.
Green, green, green.
Good restart. Ooh, stacking up. Oh, there they go. No. Oh, no. Trouble out back. The 10 goes around. This will surely bring the caution out. Yeah, it's going to have to here. There it is. Oh, man. That is not the way that Dylan Paz wanted that restart to go after we just talked to him. The 10 car getting turned around. And you saw Mark Beverly get collected as well. There's Dylan Paz. He's back rolling. A couple other drivers. Rick LePage, Lance Thompson. Keith Prince. I mean, and we've seen this a couple times this season now on a few restarts. And oh man, I wonder if it was somebody either missing a gear or some wheel spin. Let's go back and look at it here and find out. All right, so it's going to start here on this outside line. Yeah, that's exactly where it's going to start. We'll watch it from the chopper view instead. And so, looks like that's the 53 of Bill Hales. I believe that is exactly where the issue will start. So watch the 53 of Bill Hales here as they get into the Geico restart zone. Hales is sitting back just a little bit. Beverly gives him a shot. Hales starts to go, and then all of a sudden he doesn't go, but by the time he goes, Beverly thinks he's going. So Beverly hits the throttle and instead just, runs into the back of the 53 because he thought he was going. And then that sends the 53 down the track into the 10 of Dylan Paz. And now that's going to just spin them all out behind. The 53 of Bill Hales, pretty significant rear end damage to his race car. But well, I'm curious to watch the onboard view now for Bill Hales. I mean, it's about as bad of a restart as I feel like you can have from up here in second. Second on the outside. Watch this here. So they get into the restart zone. Well, I'll tell you what happened there. Bill Hales, I think what he was trying to do was time it. And as he goes to jump, you hear him get on the throttle. He realizes that the guy in front of him that he's getting ready to hit is not gone yet, David Traylor. And so he's got to obviously let out of the gas so he doesn't run into David Traylor. But then as he does that, you'll see here from the gearbox view, Mark Beverly saw him initially make this lunge. Watch the lunge here. There's the lunge. Beverly goes and then just the stack up ultimately starts spinning him around. And he actually got, I know I said he got rear end damage, but he gets away relatively okay. So a lot of these drivers further back that didn't make out so well is much damage sustained in this one here. Dylan Paz, he'll go around. He's going to get tagged by Mark Beverly again. And then you see Jesse Calloway go for a spin. And then I think it was Keith Prince and Rick LePage there who come to a halt right on the start-finish line. They also had some contact. Show you what it looked like here from the blimp cam. Oh, this is towards the end of the carnage. We'll back it up a little bit more. Here's what it looked like at the start. See everybody diving low through the artificial turf, trying to miss it. So all in all, looks like it collects probably about a handful of them, but I think most of them should be okay. Again, we know that you do get one fast repair in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series, just in case you need it. I don't think a lot of those cars necessarily will. Maybe Keith Prince, maybe Mark Beverly as well. But then for everybody else, including Dylan Paz, it's just unfortunate because you lose any track position you had. And for Dylan Paz, that's really unfortunate. Already down a set of tires. He really couldn't afford to be losing track position and maybe having to take another set of tires. So that's certainly a tough break right there for Dylan Paz. So meanwhile, back up front, this will now set us up for a restart with under 130 laps to go. And David Traylor right now finds himself up front, leading the way. On the outside in second, it's Colton Hardy. Then it's Kevin Winker back in third, Justin Parr in fourth, Michael Miller in fifth, with Evan Schilling sixth, Matthew Fritz seventh, Jay Stinson eighth, Joe Yakes in ninth, Jonathan Dominics rounding out your top 10. All right. Well, we didn't get a chance to talk to your two other podium finishers last week. I know we heard from Dylan Paz already, but the point I was trying to make was, of course, Dylan Paz David Traylor and Joe Yakes, the top three last week. Didn't get a chance to talk to them as we had to leave, so I was hoping to bring them in at different points here tonight since we got a chance. Let's see how David Traylor's feeling right now. Hey, David, this is Austin up at the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
All right, well, I mean, first question is, what did you see on that last restart there? It looked like maybe the 53 was trying to get a good jump to help you out, and the next thing you know, they're piling up in your mirror.
Yeah, I just decided just to go late in the box. I know these guys want to get a run on me and try to time my restart. Looks like the field behind me went about a half second too early, and they checked up when obviously I wasn't going, and calamity ensues. So, you can't go till the leader goes. I chose not to go till late, and unfortunately, the field kind of paid the price for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here we are tonight. We've already got the stage out of the way. You saw one of your teammates, of course, get the stage win, and it seems like you've been finding victory lane here quite a bit as of recent. You got the job done last week at Iowa, but how much of a win, how much would this one mean to get a win here tonight at Charlotte, one of the crown jewels?
It'd be pretty sweet. For the longest time, I could never figure out how to drive Charlotte. Couldn't save my tires. Just didn't have any long run speed. And then I kind of figured it out in the trucks, and now we're in the Xfinity cars. So hopefully, what I've kind of learned here through practice and qualifying the first 40 laps here will be enough. The fast cars they're coming through the field. I can see them in the mirror. So hopefully we'll stick this thing out. Me and the 97, my teammate Colton here, we're working together. So we'll see what we can do.
Sounds like a plan, David. We appreciate you talking to us, and so far so good. See if you can keep it up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Austin.
Okay, David Traylor, he'll get ready. The green flag here, as you see the lights are off on the pace car. And I like that point he made, and that's part of the mind games too that you try to kind of play on everybody else when you're up here in the lead. Is you don't have to go at the start of that restart zone. It's called a restart zone so that you have the option to go anywhere inside of that zone. So after the initial race start, which is on green, of course, waved by the flagman, every restart after that is on the leader. David Traylor can go right at the start of the restart zone. He can go in the middle, or he can choose to go all the way at the end. He can even wait for the green flag if he chooses. But either way, David Traylor, as he said there, he didn't go. The rest of the field thought he was. It led to that issue that we just got cleaned up. All right, 40 laps now complete. Green flag is back in the air at Charlotte, and it's a good restart for the 54 of David Traylor. You see Colton Hardy, who he said was going to be working together with him, quickly sliding down to the inside to line up behind that 54. Traylor's going to lead the pack, rocketing off at turn number 2. Hardy with a little bit of a run, but I don't think he's going to have anything to try to take here into turn 3. And further back, man, how about the 19 of Justin Parham? Boy, he was sliding it in there. I was wondering how well that was going to work out. And it looks like the answer is maybe not so well for the 19 here. Watch this. As Parham's going to go into the corner. And I mean, he absolutely dives this thing into the corner. And I think as a result here, he just gets a little bit tight. Let's go ahead and fix this up first before we go back live here. Get this back to full screen and watch the 19 here. We'll show you this from the cockpit view and listen to the throttle. Yeah, he sent it in deep, but you heard him wiggle, and he wiggles a couple more times. So definitely still a pretty good amount of grip to be able to send it in as much as he did, but move that I think he was going for just didn't quite work out there either way. It's a fun one to watch back. Justin Parham. 155 miles an hour, close to 160 down in turn number 1 is now. Here comes the 42 of Kevin Winker. You heard David Traylor say that he's been seeing the fast guys moving through the field, and Kevin Winker has been one of the fastest ones so far here tonight as he is up 7, now 8 positions from where he started this race at, as he'll take that position away now from Colton Hardy. And a little bit of a bobble right there out of the 42. Hardy's going to try to cross him back over here down the front stretch. And if you're Colton Hardy, trying to stay 1-2 with your teammate as long as you possibly can here, and you know that the more battling that you do with the 42, the harder it's going to be for either you to go catch that 54 car as the run goes on. But I wonder now, initially they thought it was going to be 3 stops. If with that quick caution that we had on the start of this final stage, if maybe now it goes down to just 2 solid stops. That would be, I think, my initial guess. But of course, we'll have to see. And so it's now 44 of 167 laps complete. By the way, if you're just tuning in or you've been tuning in here tonight, we appreciate you being here. You're watching the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series, the winning bid 250 here on PGR eSports. We just hit 400 subs the other night, so certainly appreciate that. Appreciate everybody's support. As now the 87 of Joe Yakes little bit of side-by-side here and a lot of fire out of the pipes for the 87. That's telling you that he is out of the gas right now. As that car was getting a little tight on him as he had Evan Schilling in the 18 on his outside. There's the 92 of Clinton Woodby. Woodby's going to take a dive to the inside here. He'll slide up in front of the 18 and just behind the 87. You can see that sunset getting fainter and fainter in the background. Just a matter of time here before we go into full darkness here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And David Traylor in the 54 is trying to hold on to capture another win. He's already got, again, more than a few, and soon it might be looking at a handful for David Traylor if he keeps up the pace that he has had. Just about any track we went to, it's felt like this season. Of course, he won at 2 Mile Oval. He won at a road course. He's won at a 1.5 miles. He's won at a short track. I mean, what track has this guy not won at yet? David Traylor has had a lot of speed, and actually I think Rockingham was a little bit shorter than a 1.5 miles, but you get the idea. David Traylor has certainly been very fast this season and a tough one to contend with. He's showing that right now here, and he's going to have to do something special here to hold off Kevin Winker in the 42, because Winker looks like he has got a faster car at the moment, and really Kevin Winker is hungry, but each lap that he runs in the wake here of David Traylor, he's going to burn off a little bit more tires, so Traylor should be able to pull away if he can keep that clean air for long enough. At least that's the general idea. How about Dylan Pause after that incident right now, all the way back in 14th? If that doesn't tell you how hard it is to pass here when everybody's on equal tires, then, boy, I don't know what does. And, you know, I do think it's interesting, Dylan kind of opening that door up for what possibilities drivers could have if they somehow have an extra set of tires at the end of this race compared to everybody else. I mean, he got to the front in the matter of 10, just a little bit over 10 laps. So you figure if we get a late restart and you have a set of tires left that nobody else does, I almost think it might be worth the risk of going in to take those tires. How much speed we've seen it translate to for some drivers so far tonight. Now Colton Hardy, he's going to be looking to set up another move here on the 42 of Kevin Winker. Not going to take it that time. You see the Muehlberger custom home sponsor there on the back bumper of Kevin Winker's number 42 Chevy Camaro. Winker's skewing that car out a little bit as he works down through the corner. It'll straighten itself back out now as he gets onto the straightaway. Man, David Traylor so far tonight, he has led the most after getting around his teammate in the 97 of Colton Hardy. So maybe he hasn't quite led the most. He's close to surpassing the number. Of course, Hardy led early after grabbing the pole. But then David Traylor was able to take that lead over for a little bit. Hardy got it back, and then Dylan Pauls came out of nowhere, took it away from both of them. Got the stage win, but since we restarted here on the second stage, it's been all David Traylor so far. With now 50 of 167 laps complete, so we are getting pretty close to that third of the way through this 250-mile event mark. And don't forget that after this race is concluded here tonight, make sure you go catch the end of the Real Life Truck Race Championship at Phoenix Raceway. And then tomorrow night, if you want some more trucks, make sure you tune into PGR eSports to watch the NOMA Truck Series, as they will be back at, I believe it's Nashville Super Speedway. You'll see a lot of the same drivers that you see in this race here tonight over there, as there's that move that we were waiting for. Colton Hardy just kind of playing a game of patience. He was saving some tire, waiting until the 42 of Kevin Winker wore out his stuff enough to start to get a little tight, and now the 97 trying to make something happen here, see if he can get by on the inside, and this is going to be the testament here of which lane do you go with if you try to pass the guy, if you've got the better tires, because right now, if you're Colton Hardy, you chose the inside, and he's going to try to make it work here, but if it doesn't work, then, I mean, if I'm Hardy, obviously I'm taking notes, but even everybody else, I'm writing down the fact that, you know, even though you may have better tires than the guy in front of you, if they're relatively equal, it's really tough to make this pass happen on the inside. So if Hardy gets another chance at it here, if he falls back behind the 42, we'll have to see if he tries to jump to the outside or if he continues to stay committed to that inside line. Ooh, we got one slow. That's Keith Prince here. What in the world has happened? So the 3, Keith Prince with some trouble. As you see him now rolling off the artificial turf back onto the racetrack. I don't see any damage to that 3 car. Wonder here if he just got a little bit loose coming off the corner, if it was a separate issue here. He's coming, oh yeah, big time loose for Keith Prince, and then has to make 2 wicked saves. And you know what else might have helped him right there is the fact that when he actually finally kind of looped it around, he looped it around right where the chicane is. And lucky that that did not bring out a caution, but seen that issue already a couple times here tonight. For the most part, though, anybody we've seen have the trouble, it's been they've gotten tight. In this case, like I said, Keith Prince gets loose. Watch as this car starts to turn down the banking on him. Right there. He's trying to save it, then overcorrects, has to save it again, and he makes that second overcorrection is when it finally spins out on him. Now he's just trying to lock it down and hope that he doesn't get into the inside wall, which he's able to avoid, so nice job there. And then you see the field go around him. So for Keith Prince now, he is going to certainly need a caution to have a chance to get back in this thing, and then this was Rick LePage side by side with the 21 there, Lance Thompson, and he had to take a detour through the artificial turf to not get any contact himself. So a close call there for the 24 right there. That was two what could have been cautions. And so again, if I'm anybody in this field, I'm keeping that in mind as well. That if we see one caution, it could breed a few based off the way some of these restarts have gone, some of the aggression that we've seen, and even late in the runs here, we've been seeing drivers just starting to get loose, starting to struggle a little bit. But at some point here, you start to turn your attention to making that pit strategy and decide about how many stops you're going to make here and when you're going to make them. Kevin Winker was able to get back around the 97 of Colton Hardy. Hardy not able to make that move on the inside stick. Now you see Joe Yakes. He's going to go around one of the Noma Motorsports entries. That was Justin Parham. If you're Justin Parham here, now you got another car right behind you, and it's the 92 of Woodby. It's all about trying to get in that rhythm, and man, when you get passed, and then you start getting passed by, it feels like everybody in the group that you're running in, it gets so hard to get in that rhythm and get focused. Because you want to just worry about chasing the guy in front of you, but you got to look in the mirror at the same time, and certainly a lot of multitasking that goes on inside of these race cars. And so as we now get closer and closer to that 60 lap mark in this race, we still have over 100 laps to go in this 250-mile event. And I mentioned when you heard us interviewing David Traylor how important it is to win here. Yes, this is considered one of the crown jewel tracks. And I don't know if the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series actually deems it a crown jewel race. But again, at this track, Darlington, you look at Daytona, of course, and then the Brickyard. Those are the four tracks for me. And then can't forget about, of course, Bristol and the Bristol Night Race. So those 5 tracks, I should say, at least for me, those are all the crown jewels. Charlotte, one of them, of course, though, being its affiliation with the Coke 600. And as I mentioned here tonight, one of the slightly longer races of the season, a 250-mile event. In terms of laps run in a 1.5 mile track, quite a few at 167. But how about this here? A little bit of 2x2 between Jesse Calloway and Jonathan Dominics. Looks like Calloway is going to be able to get that position back. And so even though I've said, it's been kind of tough to pass, which it seems like it has, we've still seen a pretty fair amount of racing here towards the back portions of this pack and even in the middle portions of the pack. Right here, a little side-by-side between Matthew Fritz and Michael Miller. Miller had speed early on, but since has fallen in the negative position from where he started this race at. So for Michael Miller, he's going to be trying to improve on that here as the race continues to go on. And then you've got Jay Stinson up here in 7th. He's watching a little bit of 2x2 action. It was the 19 of Justin Parham, his teammate, going at it with the 92 of Clinton Woodby, one of the white knuckle racing drivers. Man, it's just so interesting how this is one of those tracks where we see drivers getting out of the gas even in the middle of the corner. Once they've already got out of the gas and they're trying to set the car for exit, it's because you get so loose. Now right now, though, it looks like you can actually hear it on Justin Parham, too. Everybody's really struggling with the front grip of these race cars. A lot of drivers starting to get tight, it appears, as Colton Hardy, after doing all that racing with Kevin Winker on the inside, having to keep it down there. It seems like that maybe took a toll on his front tires as well. As look how far left he's got the wheel turn here, riding that top seat, just trying to get the car to turn for him. Yeah, that seems to be a little bit of an issue, as now Joe Yakes doing what he did last week, and that is climbing through the field at a very, very fast pace. The 87 now has himself up to that 3rd position, and he'll be looking to see if he can go chase down the 42 of Kevin Winker. Hardy, though, going to get that spot back on the outside. We talked about Colton Hardy had that same thing happen to him, but he was on the inside of Winker when it happened. He used that to his advantage right there to fend off the 87 of Joe Yakes, who looked like he had a faster car, but apparently Colton Hardy had the preferred lane. At the start of this race, I thought it was going to be a race to the bottom as the run went on, but it seems like it's kind of the opposite. More so a race to the top, at least if you're going to try to make passes, that is. And then David Traylor here in the 54, of course, he's got the luxury of running pretty much any lane he wants, but question was, which lane is he indeed running right now? It looks like it's the bottoms. Oh, trouble. We got 2 wrecking now, 3. Big one. Oh, my goodness. Almost upside down. Who was that? Colton Hardy in the 97 is who that was. He actually glitched off of our data scoring there. That's why the camera shot away from him. Oh, my goodness. The 97 is destroyed. Again, I believe that car got upside down. Certainly solid going up in the air. QH Design 97 Toyota Supra has definitely seen better days, and it was when he came back up the track that we saw that massive collision. And actually, you heard, I don't know if you could hear it, but if you rewind the broadcast back a little bit, you would actually hear those two sliding out of shape down the backstretch before they got to the corner. And so watch here. So they're side by side, and then as they get into the corner, oh, yikes. Boy, that is a rare mistake right there from Justin Parham. The 19 here, did he get into the wall initially? Was that what sparked his reaction? I think it was here. Watch the 19 of Justin Parham. We're going to go to the onboard view, but basically what's happening right here is he's just riding behind the 97 of Colton Hardy. He's going to get up a little bit here. He thinks he's going to hit the wall, so he turns the wheel left to make sure he doesn't, and in the process of doing that, he just gets down into the 87 of Joe Yakes. Joe Yakes is not expecting it, and Colton Hardy's really not expecting it. It turns them down the track, trying to save it as they come back up. There's the big hit. Totals those race cars. We'll go back and look at that in a minute, but here's the onboard view for Justin Parham, and watch what he saw. Watch his wheel movements here. Yeah, and I can tell you Justin did not mean to do that. Just a mistake, and unfortunately a mistake that cost a couple of really fast cars here tonight. They're one faster pair that they've got, and you see that car still bouncing around, so I wonder if Colton Hardy didn't go all the way over right here. Let's watch it from TV1. As Hardy gets turned, he slides down somehow. Clinton Woodby, I thought, missed this initially. Let's see here. Does he shoot by? Well, not quite. Well, he gets on the brakes, actually, and as they go back up, he does shoot by. But then there you see the 97 getting up the track. As they all kind of wedge into the wall, the 97, he does go over. Colton Hardy goes up and over once. There's a barrel roll, and then he's going to do a barrel roll back the other way. This thing takes a couple tumbles, it looks like, before it's eventually going to set back down on all four. And then you see Evan Schilling sliding in there last second with a little bit of contact as well. And I mean, this one, again, I'll tell you what, Clinton Woodby, he did do a heck of a job to miss that, as did Keith Prince and Jay Stinson. So it looks like it only collects about 3 in total, but it's heavy damage. The 2 of Jay Stinson, who I thought missed it, so maybe I saw Matthew Fritz, actually, as the car that snuck by. I believe that's what it was. Yeah, Matthew Fritz in the 27 was the car that snuck by. Jay Stinson did not. He was the Noma Motorsports driver who actually got wedged up into the wall with the 97. Let's go to the onboard view here. Colton Hardy, and if you get dizzy easily, you want to close your eyes for this one, is watch how quickly this ride goes crazy. Is upside down, back over the other way a couple times. Before finally getting back on all four. And there's Jay Stinson, a little bit of contact at the end. So as we go back live now, looks like Colton Hardy has taken his fast repair. I would assume all the other drivers involved, including Joe Yakes and Jay Stinson, have as well. And it looks like Joe Yakes has. All right, so there you go. 67 of 167 laps now complete. So we'll be going back green now with under 100 laps to go. And that means that we're still expecting at least one pit stop, probably still that second one at this point. As again, good to see everybody watching here tonight. Zip Tie earlier says, get some 55. Tower Operator says, let's go Winker Nation. Megan White says, let's go Clinton Woodby. And then Joe Herda, good to see you out here, says, hello, Mr. Green. Joe, good to see you out here tonight. Congrats on that third place finish last night. And so, by the way, when it's going to be, I talked about it's going to be under 100 laps to go now. And you figure, we mentioned what the fuel window was, and it's always kind of interesting with these cars in this series, the way they run fuel. Most of the time it's the same. It'll vary a little bit, but the general idea that it is for most of the season, including here tonight, is 95% fuel. So in these cars at this track, I would expect that that could get these drivers to probably somewhere between I'm going to say about 50 to 55 laps or so on a tank of fuel. That's going to be my guess. Let's just say it's 50 laps. If it's 50 laps, then they might be able to make this thing a one-stopper now. So that could certainly add some interesting strategy mix into it, if you will. Now, if you're David Traylor, and I mean, you know, of course, this isn't Daytona or Talladega, so being in the pack, you don't save like, you know, you would if you were in the pack at Daytona or Talladega, but you, of course, you get a couple options here at these 1.5 miles, coast into the corner a little bit longer. You don't have to run quite full throttle as long as you're in a strong draft down the straights. I've even seen guys clutch it through the corners where you just put the clutch in, and of course that kills all the RPMs and just lets the car freely roll. Then as soon as you disengage the clutch, those RPMs come back to life pretty much right where you left them, just about, or at least where they are once the car slowed down a little bit. Keep rolling out of it, but we'll have to see here. If they don't save, then that either means they're confident it's a 1-stop or they're confident it's a 2-stop. So here we go. Pace car going to make that left turn back down to the pits. And here we go. 100 laps to go here at Charlotte. Green flag is back in the air. And it's a good restart for the 54 of David Traylor, who gets a jump on the 42 of Kevin Winker and the 87 of Joe Yakes. Kevin Winker quickly down to the bottom of the racetrack. He's got to try everything to slide up in front. Some trouble further back here. And what's going on here? We got one stopped on the front stretch. Jesse Wise is all torn up again. This is not the first time we've seen the 69 with major damage here tonight. And he didn't even make it down to turn 1. And looks like this is going to draw the caution now. I don't believe this was for an incident further up. I believe this was for that incident that we're looking at right now here with Jesse Wise. It was just race control getting confirmation before they threw the yellow. So, all right, let's go back and look at it here. See what happened to Jesse Wise. Man, he was stopped for a while, too. So whatever damage he sustained here had to have been pretty major. Is it going to be a stack up? Let's watch here from the chopper view. As they go to start going, the 69 gets going, and then, ooh. And looks like the 24 LePage has some issues, and 69 of Jesse Wise runs into the back of somebody, goes around, and then gets T-boned there at the end by Keith Prince. That's what does most of the damage. Watch the 24, Rick LePage just struggles on the restart. Either a little bit of wheel spin or just missing a gear. It's like with seeing all that fire out of the pipes, I would guess it was some wheel spin here for Rick LePage. It got him that loose and out of shape to have to really check up all of a sudden. And watch the RPMs here and take a listen. Oh boy, he made a couple of mistakes there. I'll tell you what, that was a rough restart for Rick LePage in a couple of ways. It starts right here with, yeah, he's just getting wheel spin. In fact, you saw it, and you'll see it here again. Show you it from the rear chase view. He's just going to spin the tires here, the rear tires, and as he's doing that, Lance Thompson, nowhere to go, runs into the back of him. Jesse Wise runs into the back of Thompson. But even after he stopped eventually spinning the tires, once he goes to hit the shift up to third gear, he accidentally shifts back down to first instead. And so that would explain what happened to the 24. And then unfortunately, Jesse Wise, kind of just an innocent bystander here. But as he runs into the back of the 21, he goes down the racetrack. Hardy just misses him. Unfortunately, Keith Prince not so lucky as he pile drives into the left front. That's what does all the damage there to the 69 and the 3 as well of Keith Prince. Let's go hop on board here with Keith here. This is after the incident already had transpired, but watch it. As Prince here, like I said, he's just going to have absolutely nowhere to go. He's going to try everything here to miss it, but he can't see it until it's too late. And at that point, kind of like a deer in the headlights. Again, major, major damage there for Keith Prince. Got to hope he's got a fast spur, although I don't know if he does after that early incident we saw on a restart. So we'll give you one more look at this here before we go back live. Again, a really, really tough break for Jesse Wise tonight. It's just not been a good one, even though it's not necessarily anything he's done wrong. Got into the wall earlier, got himself in a wreck and damage from that, and then involved in this one here on some wheel spin and a missed shift for the 24 of Rick LePage. All right, so as we go back live now, 71 of 167 laps complete, and it is still Kevin Winker. I say still, it's Kevin Winker who is now currently being scored as your leader, I should say. David Traylor back to second, and it's Clinton Woodby in third with Joe Yakes in fourth. Michael Miller back in fifth, Bill Hales in sixth, with Jesse Calloway seventh, Matthew Fritz in eighth, Mark Beverly ninth, and Jonathan Dominics rounding out your top 10. All right, lights are still on the pace car, so we're not going back green just yet. So as we continue to wait, let's see if we can get a word here with Joe Yakes, last week's second place finisher. Hey, Joe, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do. How you doing?
Good. Well, man, we saw you finish on the podium last week, and right now you find yourself in a similar position right now, sitting inside the top 5 and 4th, but we've seen a couple of cautions here kind of in the early portions of this final stage, towards the middle portions of it. So how has that kind of changed the strategy here in terms of fuel mileage?
Well, I mean, with that caution coming out, it turned this from a 2-stop race to a 1-stop race. So we're going to be running a little bit longer than my initial plan on these tires. So we're just going to try to save them a little bit here this time and see what happens.
Well, we've seen drivers work in different lines, but it seems like as the tires wear out, we've seen a lot of guys getting tight. How do you kind of try to combat that, knowing that, you know, you can't make physical adjustments to the race car. You can only change the way you drive it. Is there any way to fix it so it doesn't get so tight as the run goes on?
Yeah, you just got to back off the entry a little bit more. As it tightens up, you back off the entry, you kind of roll the center a little bit more, and that allows you to kind of keep getting that drive off that I'm looking for.
All right, well, there you go. Hey, Joe, we appreciate you talking to us. And again, so far, so good. We'll see if we can talk to you again on the podium this week.
I hope so. I'll see you after the race.
All right, there you go. Joe Yakes says that the only thing that's changed now is they're going to be good to go on fuel for 1 stop, and he's going to have to run the tires a little bit longer than he would have liked, and that's going to be a similar problem for everybody else in the field. We'll be keeping an eye on that, as again, I would expect that now you probably split this thing close to in half, or, I mean, again, this depends on where you're running at. You could cut it a little bit short or go a little bit long. I think if you really don't like the way old tires feel, then maybe you cut it a little bit, or you go a little bit long rather, and if you're okay with how these cars drive on old tires, then maybe you cut it a little bit shorter. I think those are the two general strategies and ideas that we'll see here tonight. But if we keep getting cautions, then that could, of course, change the winning strategy of this race even more. As I think if we get to probably, I would say, right around 50 to go, once we hit that point, and everybody's going to be good to go without having to pit again if we get a caution after that point. So keep an eye on that, but still plenty of time here if you're any of these drivers in the middle portions of the pack to try to make up some track position on this restart and then slowly, methodically work your way to the front. All right, so here we go. Looks like it's going to be 95 laps to go. As green flag is back in the air at Charlotte. It's a good restart for the outside. The 42 of Kevin Winker decided to choose that high line, and he will quickly be able to slide down in front of the 54 trailer. He arcs it back up as they work into 1 and 2. Now he goes back down to the bottom. Joe Yakes on the high side. You see Bill Hales back there as well. And all drivers who have been fast here tonight are the ones that you see inside your top 5. Still missing a couple that had speed earlier but then got involved in some trouble. As boy, that was a really, really sketchy looking move right there. As the 77, I thought he was getting ready to get tangled up with the 53 of Bill Hales. They all hold on though. Nicely done there. So it's 74 of 167 laps complete, by the way. Look at all the single file on the bottom right now. We really didn't see that second lane get working too much until about the first 5 to 10 laps or so of a run. And I think that's everybody just trying to make sure that they get their tires up to temp and up to pressure. As again, it can be really, really sketchy those first couple laps when you're on cold tires. So you got to make sure that the car's handling before you try to change around the lanes that you want to run. But look at this, David Traylor. And he did not waste any time trying to apply the pressure here to the 42 of Kevin Winker. And, I mean, for David Traylor here, he knows how good he's been himself on short runs, and he's been pretty good on the long runs as well. Kevin Winker has been his biggest competitor as of recent here. And so Winker now on the bottom. We'll see how hard he fights here with this 54 to keep that clean air. And he's going to fight, but it may not matter here. David Traylor with a run off turn 4. It actually looked like somehow the 42 gets a better exit. Wow, how about that? Kevin Winker was able to get clear up down the straight after running the inside. It's not a move you see made too often here at a track like Charlotte. So all the single file goes through about your top 12, and then for 13, actually I take that back, goes through about your top 10. That was the battle for 12. Had a couple drivers that were 2x2, but they've quickly got it back down the single file. And you can see the 22 of Haas Beverly trying to get to the inside. Evan Schilling, and boy, Haas got really, really loose right there off of turn number 4. You saw that front end kind of clip the apron. Good save. But it's just so tough to pass here because you know that you got to kind of commit. But at the same time, if the car loses even just a little bit of grip, you're going to get up into the next car that's running above you. So that's why it's so hard to hold the inside and still hold some speed. As we saw Haas Beverly trying to do on Evan Schilling that last lap. David Traylor here. Question's going to be, what choice does he make? when he gets to the back bumper of this 42. Is he going to try to go high or is he going to try to go low? A little bit of pressure out back right now from the 92 of Woodby. Not too much just yet, but this is still very much a three-car battle for the lead here with 78 of 167 laps complete. That final pit stop, again, still going to be a ways away, so you won't hear me talk about it anymore until we start to get closer. Right now, it's all about setting yourself up with that track position. Bill Hales, who sits back in 5th, is currently the first car that is outside of that 1 second gap that has been created here by Kevin Winker. Joe Yates still trying to hang strong, but he sits in 4th, up 10 from where he started at. Got to be careful here that he doesn't lose touch or lose the draft, rather, of these top 3, because that does play a huge role here. And even if you're a little faster in the corner, if they've got more drafting help down the straight, it's going to be really, really tough to catch him here. So watch for Joe Yates. Maybe push those Goodyear tires a little bit more right here over the next couple laps to see if he can catch up. It looks like he's now got it back down to 0.7 of a second. Joe Yates certainly does appear to be closing it back up here a little bit. Bill Hales, who sits back in 5th, is almost back to a second back instead of 1.2 seconds back. So you wonder if some of the battling up front, maybe Kevin Winker having to do a little more mirror driving than he would like, has slowed the pace just enough here to tag on 1 or 2 more cars. As Bill Hales, I believe, is, well, he's not closing it, but certainly Joe Yates is. Got it down to about 0.7 of a second there before it kind of plateaued. So as they stay single file, it is still Kevin Winker, David Traylor, and Clinton Woodby leading the way. They are your 3 podium drivers at the moment. We're going to take a quick break. Stick with us. We'll be back at Charlotte.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point. But you feel like you really drive, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Three by 3.
Almost all trouble around goes Alex Hill.
On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to the Winning Bid 250 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. While we were on nonstop break, you saw the fierce battling that we had there for the lead for just a moment before Clinton Woodby and Kevin Winker got caught up with each other just a little bit. And Now that they have faded back, that gives David Traylor a little bit of breathing room again. David Traylor, that gap, that breathing room that I'm talking about, just over 0.3 of a second. But we'll see if Winker can close it back up here. And again, we're expecting that next pit stop, and the final pit stop really, anytime probably right after, I'd say lap 117. I think that's kind of the magic number. I think any sooner than that is a little too soon. So we still got a ways to go. As a matter of fact, about 30 laps or so to go before we'll see anybody go in for that final pit stop. They may go in a little bit later, maybe a little bit sooner. Man, the battle in for second right now, it does not disappoint. Look at this. The 87 of Joe Yakes trying to put some pressure here now on the 42 of Kevin Winker. And while you've got Quentin Woodby, who is just up there in a podium position, battling for second with Winker, he's going to try to see what he can do himself now here. And for Woodby in the 92 run in the bright orange and black colors, he's got the winning bid logo on the front of that Toyota Supra. And all the racing that we've seen now, especially from these top 4 or 5, I mean, that's exactly what you want if you're David Traylor, especially if this race continues to go green. He wants to have enough of a gap after the pit stop where nobody's able to get any draft off of him, because when you're on fresh tires, that draft is a little bit more dangerous because those cars behind you, they're going to be able to stay pretty even, if not a little faster than you in the corner. And down the straight, they're going to be able to catch as well. But right now, what you have happening is they may be in his wake in the draft down the straightaways, but they've used their tires up more than him through the corners, so it's just getting tougher and tougher for them to try to catch back up, and this doesn't help either. When they go side by side down the straights, they start to stall each other out. And man, Joe Yakes, he wants this position pretty bad right here. He's not going to give Kevin Winker too much time of day here with trying to let him go catch back up to David Traylor. Yakes says, I want to do it myself. And the 87 right now on the inside. Does he try to sail it in? Look for a slide jab here. Oh, man, Joe Yakes really tried to back up the entry, as shallow as it may have been. Not enough. Oh, now there's some contact. The 87's loose. Hold on to it, Joe Yakes, and he's going to do so. Big save by the 87 at Joe Yakes. But that's going to cost him not just 1, but 2 spots, as he now has to fall back and get in front of the 53 of Bill Hales. Boy, that was another pretty close moment here. Watch this. Coming off of turn 2, Yakes is trying to get in the gas, and car just doesn't want to stick for him. Watch the cockpit view for Yakes right here. He's got the wheel fully left and just starts to get loose and then has to save it. Nice job right there to not make that worse than it could have been. Meanwhile, back live now, caution is out. The 6th time here tonight. And it looks like it was Jay Stinson here, one of the cars involved, looking for the damage that he sustained. Looked like it's on the left side and the left rear. And getting reports that Jonathan Dominics may have been involved as well. I'm looking around here. It looks like the 94 is okay. I don't see really any damage, at least not on the left, the front, or the rear. Can't, of course, see the right side just yet for Jonathan Dominics, but at least for now, we'll presume he's okay. Certainly gotta hope that that's the case. At least Jay Stinson, maybe the only car that got torn up from this. And Dominics, maybe a little bit of damage there on the right front. But looks like that may be about it in terms of where he sustained said damage. So here we go. Ooh, this is almost a carbon copy of what we saw with Jesse Wise earlier here. Working through 3 and 4, he's just really tight, running in the wake of Evan Schilling. And Dominics, he's just going to get a little bit tight. He's going to get up into the outside wall. When he does, comes down the racetrack, overcorrects, gets into Stinson. There's that big impact for Jay Stinson as he goes back end first of the race car into the wall. And it looks like everybody else was able to dodge this wreck. That's the good news. But of course, the bad news here being the damage sustained for Jay Stinson, who was kind of the innocent bystander in this one. Watch this. Again, you're going to see the 94 here. He's washing up the track, and at this point, he's tight, kind of beyond the point where you're going to be able to keep it off the wall. And as he bounces off the wall, tries to correct and just overdoes it. Now he's laying down his own tire tracks, and Stinson just barely gets clipped there. Not quite able to sneak by, and there's the back end of the race car impacting the outside safer barrier. Again, very, very lucky for these two that nobody else was collected. Certainly could have been a whole lot worse, but for Stinson, I have to hope he's got a faster pair still sitting in the pits. I don't know if he does after that incident earlier that we saw rip the hood off of that race car. So for Stinson, I believe he's actually going to have to try to get this all fixed up manually, And I guess if there is any good news, the good news would be that at least it was the back of the race car, not the front. But I think my concern would be for that left rear suspension. So that's where he got clipped at. And you see Dominic slide almost back into the 2 there as the wreck kind of came to a rest. And so as we do go back live now, looks like the 94 is back out on track. As for Jay Stinson, looks like he is also back out on track, but still has pretty significant damage, as a matter of fact, to the rear end of that race car. I was going to say, I'm thinking he's going to have to probably go get that fixed up a little bit more. That left rear is looking certainly worse for wear. So as Stinson will go try to get a little bit more fixed up. Back up front, Joe Yakes leads the way. Dylan Pause second. And it's David Traylor in third as everybody topped off on fuel. Not sure which ones decided to take tires versus which ones that didn't. I would assume that Traylor must have had a slow stop to fall back to third, as he was first at the time of caution. Dylan Pause maybe decided to just stay out, as maybe can't afford to take another set of tires just yet, based off of what he, of course, had to take after that spin that he had in the first stage, or rather the wreck he got involved in. And so it'll be, looks like about 97 of 167 laps complete when we go back green. So that'll put us at 70 laps to go here at Charlotte. That'll go by quick, too. These guys are putting lap times down right around 30 seconds. So just about going to be another 35 minutes of green flag racing if it goes that way. And if not, then we can set ourselves up for a pretty crazy finish here. I've seen overtimes at Charlotte a couple times, and boy, they have a tendency to get pretty wild. And right now, if you're Joe Yakes, this is a big opportunity here. It's the first time the 87 is going to have a chance out in clean air here tonight. Can he take advantage of it? I think that's going to be the big question mark for Joe Yakes. And as we do get ready to go back green, let's head over and tell you what the schedule's looking like for some of the upcoming races here for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series. All right, so here's what it's currently looking like this week. Actually, I guess I should say where we're going to head next week. And if we clear the SDK thing off for you, we're at Charlotte tonight. Next week, we'll head to Gateway, also known as Worldwide Technology Raceway, for 147 laps there. Then it's off to the Milwaukee Mile as the final race before Thanksgiving break. Be 145 laps there. And after Thanksgiving's over, these guys will return at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Legacy Atlanta, I should say. Then it's off to Michigan International Speedway for 125 laps there. And then some of the, I guess I should say, the bigger races that may be a highlight for the rest of the season after that. Bristol Motor Speedway, 200 laps. That's going to be an exciting one. Then it's off to Talladega with a super speedway to round out the regular season. And then look at the round of 16 and the round of 10. Two of the tracks that are in there, or excuse me, I should say look at the round of 10. One of the tracks in there, Daytona International Speedway. And you've got quite a few mile-and-a-half or graders in the round of 10, with North Wilkesboro, I believe, being the only short track. Darlington classifying more towards a mile-and-a-half than it does a short track, of course. And then Homestead Miami Speedway is where the Championship 5 was elected to be at this season, and that's an exciting one for a couple of reasons. I'm telling you, though, Homestead is a really, really cool track to watch for these cars. You see guys able to run all sorts of different lines, bottom, top, middle, and everything else in between. So looking forward to that. We still have quite a ways to go here in the season for these guys. Just about at the halfway point in the season, that is. But a little bit further than that here in the race tonight as we are getting towards, again, the final 70 laps of this 250-mile event here tonight, as green flag is back in the air for the 87 of Joe Yakes. It's a good restart. He'll have the option to jump up before they even get down towards turn number 1. Looks like Yakes decides to stay high. Boy, I'm surprised at that. David Traylor chose the inside, and I don't know if it was the fresher tires that made that much of a difference, but that was, I mean, my goodness, Traylor just rocketed around the 87 right there. So he'll get clear to the lead. Meanwhile, they're almost 3 wide out back here. And can they get it all sorted out? Ooh, we got one slide, and hold on to it. Is that the 19 of Parham? Yes, it is. Further back to 21 of Lance Thompson. Had some issues of his own here. Wow, that was 2 really wicked saves off of turn 4. Again, cold tires, just drivers trying to get some grip. As these tires have to get up to temp, that's when it's really, really tricky. And a nice job, everybody, to keep it clean. David Traylor quickly. We're going to scoot away from the field. We had another one. Maybe tap the wall off of 2. Clinton Woodley's got to run now, as he's going to jump to the inside of Michael Miller. At the same time, Kevin Winker looking to the inside here. Dylan Pause. Oh, man, hold your breath. 3 wide. Winker on the apron. He's running out of room. Now they get tight, but they're going to get back to 2x2. Kevin Winker probably not going to be too happy here just because he's trying to get around Dylan Paws, and it's not working for him yet. It finally does, as Dylan on older tires. It's kind of as I want to say a moving roadblock right now. And of course, I'm not blaming Dylan here. He's not doing anything wrong. But that's just the difference here of new tires versus older tires. Of course, as we mentioned just before we went back to green, Dylan on a strategy now where he had to not take tires on one of these long stops since he had to use an extra one early on in stage 1. And so that's what the story is for Dylan. Meanwhile, up front, looking a little bit like what it was here in the early parts of stage 2. David Traylor, Colton Hardy 1-2. And you've got Matthew Fritz back in 3rd with Kevin Winker in 4th. Clinton Woodby 5th, and it's Michael Miller back in 6th. Joe Yates 7th with Haas Beverly in 8th. Dylan Paws in 9th. And Bill Hales currently rounding out your top 10. Colton Hardy may have some pressure out back here pretty soon from the 27 of Matthew Fritz, and that may not be all. Here comes the 42 of Kevin Winker along with the 92 of Clinton Woodby. I'm telling you, these 4, I guess I should say these 2 for now, of Clinton Woodby and Kevin Winker, I mean, they are tearing through the field. They're going to be getting right back up there to David Traylor here in the matter of no time. And for Joe Yakes, got to think maybe he tried a tire strategy that was, I don't know if it wasn't the one he wanted to do or if that car just all of a sudden fell off a cliff, but speed is obviously not there right now. He's going to need to work on it a bit. As now Winker and Woodby get side by side. Clinton Woodby wants the spot. He'll take it down the front stretch. He gets clear. So now they'll set their sights on teammate to the 92. That's the 97 of Colton Hardy. Hardy slides up off the corner. He's looking pretty good right now. And remember, he got involved in a restart accident that we had early in the race, so he's kind of been playing catch-up from that point on. And so far for Hardy, he's doing a pretty good job at that. Now, again, he's still got a lot of work to do and still a pit stop to be made. These drivers, again, they can't make it all the way to the finish just yet. We went back green with 70 laps to go. We talked about that fuel window probably hovering right around 50 laps to go, maybe a handful more, or maybe a couple less. Either way, the point is they're not inside the fuel window just yet. They're going to have to make it probably about another, I'd say, 14 to 16 laps before that window is going to open up, right around lap 117. And once it does, then that's the point where you have the option to pit is Clinton Woodby. Boy, how about a slide job right there? And Colton Hardy, nonetheless, he takes that spot from the 97. Now that moves the 92 up to the 2nd position. And he will try to go chase down his teammate for White Knuckle Racing, David Traylor. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching, just trying to take a look at some of the data here. And the thing that's going to make this so hard for David Traylor is because I watched the times that he's been running here the last few laps, is he stretched that gap out so much so quickly that I almost have to wonder here, was this maybe the best call of anybody on the racetrack? Because by the time that Woodby is able to catch him here, Woodby, Winker, or Hardy, if they're able to catch him, they're going to have worn their tires out to a degree where I don't know if they'll be able to compete with this 54 anymore, versus as if they were, you know, kind of restarting just behind him. They would have blown his doors off by now. So this may have been a good call here by David Traylor on that last pit stop under caution to get him in the position that he is now. He had a couple of guys on basically no tires behind him, or in front of him, I should say. He was able to get by them quick. And since that happened, the 54 has been on rails, sitting just under a second ahead of everybody else. So 106 of 167 laps complete when they cross the line this time now. It will officially be 60 laps to go here at Charlotte. We're going to go ahead and take another break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be back at Charlotte.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point. But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three. Almost no trouble around goes Alex Hill.
Hard into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to the winning bid 250. 112 of 167 laps complete. You saw everything up front while we were on break. No big changes. David Traylor still leads. The gap separating him and second place Clinton Woodby is now just over a second, as Colton Hardy still sits in a close third. Kevin Winker back in fourth. Matthew Fritz now plus 10 from where he started the race at, and up a few spots on this restart. Has himself again rounding out the top 5 right now. And so as they get closer and closer to that 50 lap to go mark, that'll be the point in which I'd say that final pit window opens. Now granted, from when we went back green, now I think that changes, you know, when drivers do decide to go in. We may have had some that were going to go in at that point that now maybe won't go until we get closer to, heck, I don't know, 25, 30, maybe even 20 laps to go in this race. But again, the idea is that that window opens here in just about 3 laps time. So we get a caution any point after that. Everybody should be good to go on fuel. And it'll be just a race to the end of the, I guess I should say a race to the end of the race from there. Nobody will have to worry about saving anything or making a green flag stop, which we have yet to see so far here tonight. Colton Hardy, Clinton Woodby still going at it here. They've been switching up a couple times, trying to decide who's actually going to hold the lead here. And while you've got Kevin Winker back and forth, he's battling with the 27 of Matthew Fritz. We talked about getting up to that 5th spot and being up 10 from where he started at. And Fritz may have a look here at him down the backstretch. Maybe not. He'll have to hold off here into turn 3 as the 27, I think, is a bit faster right now. And if he can find a way here around Winker, he may have a chance to go up and try to fight the other two. The problem is I just don't see, at this rate at least, anybody going up here and catching David Traylor with how much of a gap he has right now on the rest of the field. I mean, it's a second, but it's not been closing up. That's the problem. And I know that we've seen Woodby and Hardy battling a little bit, but I just think that David Traylor being able to get out in that clean air so quickly and not have to work his tires as much as we saw for Clinton Woodby and Kevin Winker was his kind of big advantage here tonight, if you will. He's taken full advantage of that fact, and the other good news for David Traylor is by doing that, he'll be far enough in front after this pit stop that he might be able to break the draft of anybody that's grabbing it behind him. And for Colton Hardy, of course, he'll be able to draft off of Clinton Woodby. Now, the other thing that we could see here, which will be interesting, is if these two, I mean, whether they're battling or not, if they decide to pit a little bit early, maybe just a lap or two earlier than David Traylor, just to try to get slightly fresher tires and maybe be able to try to flip that track position, then play some defense on Traylor towards the end of the race. The big thing that'll dictate how well that strategy works is, of course, how important is clean air here? Well, it seems like so far it's been pretty important, especially on these long runs, which we haven't had a lot of tonight, but we're certainly shaping up for one here to the end of the race. By the way, if you're just tuning in, again, we appreciate you being here. Hope that you're having a good Friday afternoon, Friday evening, or Friday night, depending on which part of the country that you're in. as it is 9:51 here on the East Coast. And I know we mentioned which tracks I should say we're heading to over the next couple weeks for the next few races. The other thing to just briefly mention here tonight is what the point standings were looking like coming into this race here tonight. And as it stands right now, and this was, again, at least from what I understand, updated on November 1st. This was after last week. They still have Charles Van Schaik being scored as your points leader. I think that's a little bit of a surprise to a couple drivers that, Van Schaik doesn't have a win yet on the season. That's the thing that makes it so incredible. Still looking for that first one, but just hasn't found it just yet. And so, as it stands, right now, David Traylor, one of the most winning drivers on the season, is in second, and we'll hold that thought for now as caution is out here. Trouble further back. What's happened here? Was it potentially Dylan Pauls who had an issue? I'm not sure. See the 10 car in the pits now with some damage. I'm not sure if he was what brought out the caution or not. And oh boy. Just on time. Right on cue, if you will, of that window that I mentioned of any time after lap 117. Caution would make everybody good to go the rest of the way. Let's go back and see what brings out this caution here. Again, I'm not sure if this was a caution for Dylan Pauls or something else. As, boy, the 10 here, it had some major trouble. Oh, my goodness. This is all the way back. He was battling here with the 87 of Joe Yakes. And let's see what happens here. Joe Yakes is on the inside. Dylan Pauls is on the high side. See Dylan right here running above that seam. Dylan's still above that seam, still above that seam. As they start to work out of the corner here, Yakes is starting to come up, They're still all okay there. Looks like everybody's fine. And then as they get off the corner, Dylan maybe a little bit loose. It certainly looked like from that view, the 10 was sliding down the racetrack a little bit. Let's watch it from his cockpit view. See if that gives us a little bit of a better look. Yeah, he was. That's exactly what it was. Right as he's kind of coming over that little hump of where the corner transitions and unloads onto the straightaway, he just gets just a little bit loose. And I think normally he's okay because it almost looks like he starts to steer out of it. The problem is Joe Yakes is down there, so it didn't take much movement to the left before he was going to get into this 87 car. Right there's the contact, and it's on here. Watch this hit for Dylan Pauls. Big hit, and then Joe Yakes, as he gets back into him, is going to wedge that 10 car back into the outside safer barrier. Boy, that is heavy damage to Dylan Pauls. Joe Yakes actually kind of netcodes through him. That gets the 10 car temporarily up on its side. You see Yakes, he sustains damage from this as well. And then they try to continue forward. Dylan Pauls here going towards the infield in the pit wall. He's got heavy damage. A couple cars had to dodge Joe Yakes up front. And then you see Dylan Pauls here rolling slow on the apron. I don't think he does anything else here. I think the caution just... Ooh. Well, I don't know if that actually drew the caution. I'd be really curious. My initial guess was that, of course, race control threw the caution for the fact that there was 2 cars that got collected in this, but do we see the caution lights come on here anywhere? I couldn't see it in that view, so that's going to be my general thought, at least initially, is that the yellow flag didn't come out until after Dylan Pauls towed it. As there you see the pace car just leaving the pits to go collect the field. So either way, the 10 car pretty damaged. I think that's going to bring an end to the night for Dylan Pauls. As we go back live, though, Mark Beverly currently being scored as your leader. Keith Prince not for position, but you see him going by the leaders here. David Traylor second. It's Colton Hardy in third. Kevin Winker fourth. And Matthew Fritz currently rounding out your top 5. Well, this pit stop was a pretty important one because, again, if things go green the rest of the way, that would mean that this was the final pit stop of the night. So let's see what it looked like right here. As who brought it down and who took what here? That's going to be my big question. All right, so here we go. David Traylor leads him down, gets followed by Clinton Woodby, the 97 of Colton Hardy, and the 42 of Kevin Winker. And then as Kevin Winker here, let's see what happens here. See who takes what. That's the big question that I want to know, is who took 4 versus who took 2. And as you see everybody making their way down to their pit box, I'm thinking it's going to be 4 for pretty much all these drivers, just about. Exception of a couple, and it's like fuel there. Yeah, maybe it was just fuel for some of them. This looks like I see some that are taking tires and maybe some that decided to just take fuel. Either way, it's going to be a whole lot interesting here on this restart because, again, now that everybody's going to go on fuel, it's going to be all about trying to maintain that track position and hold on to as many spots as you can here to the end of this one. So it looks like when we actually do go back green here, it'll be just over 40 laps to go in this race. Probably actually right around 40, looks like maybe 43 laps to go or so, maybe 42. And so for Mark Beverly, this will be his first time tonight, restarting on the front row. Had a little bit of that issue earlier on as he restarted third on the outside, got in to the back of, I believe, it was Bill Hills. Yeah, that's who it was, and sent him down the track. They both got involved in an accident. We haven't really had a chance to talk much about Mark since then, but here he is in the Milwaukee Ford Mustang back towards the front and looking here to potentially grab his first victory of the season. Saw Beverly get the job done. I believe it was a couple times last season. I know I remember where he got his first one at, but I believe he'd gotten a couple more after that. And so I feel like it's kind of come as a surprise to a lot of people that we haven't seen Mark Beverly strike victory lane yet this season, but he's had a lot of bad luck too. I mean, you think back last week at Iowa, track that he's so good at, him and Dylan Paws tangle on one of the overtime attempts, sent him into another overtime attempt, but that hurt Mark Beverly, and now here tonight, here he is again in position. See if things can go his way this time. And so at this point, with the amount of laps that we're going to have left, I think it's still to the point where you have to save some tire. I don't think you can go, kind of full pace right out of the gate here. You're going to burn your stuff up. I think you got to wait till we get to, I'd say probably right around 20 laps to go, somewhere in that region, before you decide to really start going. And at that point, that's where I think we're going to see things get really exciting. But I think this is easily going to be the most aggressive, chaotic restart that we've had all night. We haven't seen a lot of 3 wide, but we've seen that it is possible. Question is, where's Mark Beverly going to fire off in the box? Let's find out. Here we go. Back into the restart zone. Beverly goes early. Green flag is back in the air at Charlotte. And that early jump caught David Traylor sleeping. He was still able to settle into second, though, as further back, they're 2 by 2. As they get up to speed here, we'll watch from the rear chase cam for all the things that are going to happen out back here. There's Woodby. Boy, he had a big wiggle off it, too. That was a nice save right there from Clinton Woodby to hold on to that race car. Back it up a little bit further in the field. 3 and 4 has been the turn that's been catching a lot of people off guard on cold tires. Does everybody get through it clean this time? It appears that they do. You see Clinton Woodby still sitting further back. Him and Joe Yakes, 2 of the faster cars tonight, trying to get back to the front. Kevin Winker, he's going to be the other car to watch. He's got a couple drivers that he's got to get around here before he'll be back close enough to try to fight with the leader. And 2 of those are the White Knuckle Racing teammates. One of them the Asphalt Outlaws Racing driver of Mark Beverly. And all of a sudden, Clinton Woodby now starting to find a little bit of a charge here from the back. He was able to get around the outside, it looked like there, of Matthew Fritz, but just as I say that, he gets stalled out behind the 4 of Jesse Calloway. And at some point here, he's going to have to try to make a move here 3 wide if Calloway keeps holding him up. The 92 looks like he's got more speed here, but he's just kind of stuck. Nowhere to go, and it looks like now he is going to jump to the inside behind the 77 of Michael Miller. And look at this. Battle for the lead. David Traylor, right now he sees this as probably the battle for the win because 54 has, hands down, been the best long run car here tonight when we've had a long run. And this is the final time he's going to have to get in front if we go caution free. So he's going to be trying everything he can here to get around the 55 of Mark Beverly. But Beverly is looking for that first win of the season. The question is, how bad does he want it and how long can he hold off David Traylor? Looks like Traylor was pushing it pretty hard right there on exit of the corner as the car started to get a little bit tight. Through 3 and 4. A little bit of a wobble now. Both cars starting to wiggle. It's starting to dance around a little bit in the back end as they work off at turn 4. Mark Beverly, look at the view out the back. That's what he sees as David Traylor continues to close in. The front nose of that Toyota Supra getting bigger and bigger. So are some of the cars behind, including the 92 Woodby. Where did Clinton Woodby come from? We saw him struggling to get by some of these cars just a couple laps ago. All of a sudden now the 92 is going by his teammate in the 54 on the inside. He could be looking for the lead here in just a minute. Mark Beverly's going to stay low, but Woodby should have enough speed here to either try to make the move down the front or potentially in the turn. Either way, Woodby clearly on fresher tires right here. We'll show you what those lap time deltas are looking like here. Watch the difference as Woodby is going to finally be able to take it to the inside. Michael Miller maybe on fresher tires as well because he's also going to get by on the inside of the racetrack. And so there's what the difference has been between Mark Beverly and Michael Miller the last couple laps, almost half a second each lap. You compare that to what Clinton Woodby has been running. I mean, these guys are hauling the mail right now, to say the least. 30.477 just a couple laps ago for Clinton Woodby. I mean, that is incredible speed difference to David Traylor, who's running 31.5s. That's almost a second difference. And so that's where the strategy tonight, and I think Dylan Pause may have been kind of alluding to this earlier when we had a chance to interview him, is that with as many cautions as we've seen in some of the races this season, you start to kind of shape your strategy around just expecting those cautions. And if that wasn't the case, then the strategy Clinton Woodby has chosen here, that's a good call, right? You take the fresh tires here, and if we don't get another caution, he's probably gone. This is probably a race between him and Michael Miller for the rest of the way. But if we get another caution, and all of a sudden that puts Clinton Woodby in a very, very tough spot for the end of this race if he doesn't have tires and everybody else does. So that's one of the things that you got to be careful of and try to keep in mind as you decide on your strategy. But if Clinton Woodby wins this race, then David Traylor and a couple others might be wishing they were on the same strategy. Joe Yakes looks like he may have took a fresh set as well, as even with the damage to 87 is back up to third. And man, for Traylor and Beverly, the two who were battling for the lead just about a handful of laps or so ago, are now back to fourth and fifth, as Traylor was able to get around Beverly but has not been able to get around anybody else yet. They've been falling slowly backwards, and then it's Colton Hardy back in sixth. There's Kevin Winker, who currently sits in seventh. You've got Matthew Fritz back in eighth, with Jay Stinson in ninth, and Haas Beverly currently rounding out your top 10. Jesse Calloway back in 11th, though, just as we go to him in the wall. Goes a 4-car. Can he straighten it out before he hits the next one? Looks like he does. Jesse Calloway, I believe he got some help on that right there. Close to being what might have been our 7th or 8th caution of the night right here. Is watch this. For Jesse Calloway, I believe he's going to get a little bit of help here. Coming off of turn 4. Watch the 19. Does the 4 get loose? Let's see. Yeah, he does. That's exactly what it is. The 4, Jesse Calloway, he's getting really, really loose here. He's trying to catch it. And right before Parham gets to him, you're going to see what happens here is the 4 actually overcorrects just a little bit. And when he does that, that's what's going to shoot this car up the track and into the wall. Watch the wheel movement here. So right here, he starts to get loose, trying to correct, and then just a little bit of an overcorrection there is what gets him into that outside safer barrier. Does a good job, though, of not bouncing off of it and coming back down into the field, as we've seen happen to so many drivers so far here tonight. But unfortunately, that damage is going to certainly hinder the chances for Jesse Calloway to get a decent finish, as that damage is something he might have to go in and get worked on here, even without a caution. So now 136 of 167 laps complete. Michael Miller still chasing after the 92 of Clinton Woodby, and for Miller here, if he can stay close, he's looking for potentially his season best finish tonight. He can haul in a second place finish. See that Joe Yakes, who has now moved up to third. Actually, he's been sitting third, but I was going to say that gap is still about 1.7 seconds or so between Joe Yakes and then the 2 leaders. So they've still got some wiggle room, at least for the moment. But you wonder here how much longer that's going to last, and how much longer can Michael Miller hang with Clinton Woodby. Looks like now Woodby maybe going to start to stretch it out a little bit as these tires continue to wear out. So it's officially now going to be 30 laps to go when they cross the line this time. That means we are getting closer and closer to the conclusion of this race. Here's a little bit of 2x2 action now. Jay Stinson and Mark Beverly going at it. That was the battle for 5th, and it looks like Stinson will take that spot. You see Lance Thompson going around those 2 in the 21 car, even with some damage. That is not for track position. Lance is currently not on the lead lap. As a matter of fact, if you look at the scoring tower there on the left side of the screen, Lance right now is being scored a lap down. So he will have some work to do, but if he gets caution, gets that lucky dog, could potentially be back in this race. You never know. Jonathan Dominics, another car that is multiple laps down. He's had his fair share of incidents here tonight. And then Dylan Pause, Keith Prince, Jesse Wise have all retired from this race. And then Eric Hegdahl did not actually start the race. Not sure if it was a technical issue or if it was a start and park type deal tonight or what the case was, but tough break for Eric Hegdahl, as again he will be scored with that last place finish. Clinton Woodby now has that gap up to almost half a second now over Michael Miller. It's about 4/10 currently, and he's got the gap over Joe Yakes up to almost 3 seconds. So for Woodby, again, if this thing goes green the rest of the way, he is pretty much in the catbird seat here. Michael Miller looking for a season best run if he can hold on. And Joe Yates, even with damage, could get a good night here with the podium finish if he can hold on. David Traylor was able to kind of stop the bleeding, if you will, as he started falling back. Not sure for how long, though, because Jay Stinson has started to make his way up here. Mark Beverly 6th, Kevin Winker 7th. You've got Colton Hardy in 8th with Matthew Fritz in 9th. Haas Beverly rounding out your top 10. But for Mark Beverly, who sits in 6th, talked about he has continued fading back slowly here, but surely. In that 55 Ford Mustang, he's hoping him and David Traylor, and really everybody that's on older tires than these two leaders, they need a caution. That's what they need at this point. But as the laps continue to wind down, know that the chance of that actually happening just continues to decrease as Dylan Paws here making his way back out on track in the 10 car, and look like he may have had a close moment here that, see, does it almost bring out another caution as he's trying to get back up to speed here. It's not really a big moment. It just looks like the steering on that car is damaged really, really bad. Yeah, it is. Look how far to the right he's got the steering wheel. Just get that thing to go straight. I'd be shocked if Dylan Paws is able to make the rest of the race with that. Yeah, there you go. He's going to bring it back into the pits. I was going to say, one of the hardest things to do as a driver is deal with a race car that's offset that bad in terms of suspension when you're trying to go through the corners at 150, 160 miles an hour. So Dylan Paws is going to bring it back down, get it worked on some more. So that will cost him even more laps here. But as he crosses the line this time, Clinton Woodby sees 25 laps to go with a chance to win at one of the Crown Jewel racetracks. We're going to go ahead and take one more commercial break, but again, we'll go side by side so you don't miss any of the action up front. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Charlotte.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point. But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill.
On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Dagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. You see us panned on the 69 of Jesse Wise here. I'll report that he may have had an issue while we were on break. Not sure what issues he could have had because he was just sitting in the pits here, but let's find out. Looks like he starts to roll out. And is he just going to decide to bring it to a halt? It's going to be my guess here. And yep, looks like that's exactly what it was for the 69. So Jesse Wise started to make it back out on track, but looks like maybe decided better of it. So he brought it back to the pit. So now we'll turn our attention back up front. We're leading the way. It is the 92 of Clinton Woodby, still looking for what would be his first win of the season. First official win, I should say. Of course, he won the Clash, which was also at a 1.5 miles. In fact, it was at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're looking for his first real official win of the season, if you will. And big opportunity here tonight. If he can hang on for what's going to be 17 more laps and they cross the line this time, the gap now between him and second, I mean, he has stretched it out to over 2.5 seconds over second place Michael Miller. And for Miller, again, still looking for a season best finish, the driver out of Granite Falls, North Carolina. But just right now, not able to hold any sort of pace with that 92 machine. Meanwhile, you've got Joe Yakes in the 87, who currently sits back in third. Jay Stinson's in fourth. David Traylor in fifth. Mark Beverly sixth. And Kevin Winkers in seventh. Haas Beverly eighth. Matthew Fritz ninth. And Colton Hardy rounding out your top 10. All of those drivers in desperate need for a caution to even have a chance. Meanwhile, Clinton Woodby up front. He is saying, keep it clean, guys. He's going to have to get all the way to the white flag before he'll be able to really start to kind of relax and breathe. That is still a long ways away. We started talking about the point standings earlier before we got interrupted by an incident that happened on track. So just to kind of cap off on that conversation, Charles Van Schaik, yes, he leads the points even without a win so far this season. Then it's David Traylor who currently sits second in the point standings. Kenneth Redinger is in third. Looks like it's Colton Hardy in fourth. And Clinton Woodby fifth in the points. This would really boost him tonight if he can get the win. Mark Beverly sixth. Matthew Fritz seventh. Joe Yakes in eighth. Continues to climb the points tower. And it looks like it's maybe Michael Newman back in ninth with Jay Stinson currently rounding out your top 10 in points. All right, so now it is 15 laps to go as we were looking for any of the battle that we saw on the field, but really there isn't much going on right now. For the most part, this is the most spread out that we have seen the field in the entirety of the race here tonight. Keith Prince, who is not on the lead lap, going by the 97 of Hardy. Looks like Evan Schilling now will do the same. Evan Schilling, that was a position right here for the 18 if he can get around. He's got the radar scope. Number 18 machine. And it looks like Schilling will indeed be able to get clear right here. So as Evan Schilling slides up the racetrack, that'll now move him up to 10th. Down 5 spots from where he started this race at, but a good run. And I got to think in a nice way here to basically put it, the 97 of Colton Hardy's got to feel like the biggest loser here tonight. I mean, so much speed. Qualified on the pole. He set up front for quite a bit of the race, but then after getting kind of sent back from that incident, took the 97 a while to get back towards the front, and now is really struggling to find the speed that he had earlier in the 97 here on older tires as well. Just not a good combination here. And for Colton Hardy, again, he is in desperate need of caution here. Something to help him out as you see him getting to the outside wall right there. Just again, showing you what the struggles are right now for the 92, or excuse me, the 97. The 92 doesn't have any struggles right now. This thing's been on rails since he got to the lead. Meanwhile, Joe Yakes, Jay Stinson going to go to battle here. Is Stinson looking to get on that final podium position here tonight? Can he do it? Looks like for now he will. Jay Stinson takes that spot. Joe Yakes fades back to fourth. Yakes is still up 10 spots so from where he started this race at. And that is your biggest mover inside the top 10 at the moment. And the question now for Stinson, I guess, would be if he could go up here and catch the second place car of Michael Miller, but that's still, you know, almost over 4.5 seconds back. I don't know if he's got enough time to make that happen with only, you know, 11 laps or so to go in this race. There's the onboard view for Jay Stinson, and as of right now, he can't even really see the 77 in his windshield. Well, I guess he can, but he's a faint dot all the way up there towards turn number 1. And then Joe Yakes, who currently sits in fourth, continues to fade back. We'll see if David Traylor is able to get to the 87 before the race is all said and done. He's about 3.7 seconds back from him. Kevin Winker, ooh, one on the apron there. Is that Mark Beverly? What's going on here for 55 of Beverly? But it looks like, did he pit? Yeah, I guess he did. Mark Beverly making a pit stop right there. Did not expect to see that. A little interesting for the 55, but that is going to now put Mark Beverly all the way back in 16th, and now he will also be scored a lap down. So you've got Jesse Calloway, Lance Thompson, and Mark Beverly, 3 of the cars that are a lap down that are all fighting for the lucky dog here with just 10 laps to go. Meanwhile, for Clinton Woodby, oh man, I saw a thing pop up here. It looked like we may have had one that had a brief issue, but I believe it was just somebody getting loose. And by the way, the 4 of Jesse Calloway still has that damage never was able to go in and get it repaired as we haven't had a caution. There's the 22 of Haas Beverly. Boy, he had a rough couple of weeks. And tonight, 7th place finish. That would be a really, really good recovery for Haas. He's up 5 positions from where he started this race at, and he might be able to even try to get up here to the 42 of Kevin Winker and see if he can't pick up that 6th position as well. He's going to have 8 laps to do it once he crosses the line next time, as here comes Clinton Woodby to officially make it 8 laps to go now here at Charlotte. And man, for Clinton Woodby again, I mean, you look at what he did at the start of the season, pretty much him and the entire new team that was formed this season in White Knuckle Racing. You know, David Traylor, Dylan Pauls, Colton Hardy, they all looked really, really good right out of the gate. And it was Clinton Woodby who, of course, won the Clash. And we saw the 92. I mean, he's had speed since then. But similar to so many of the stories that we've seen for a lot of drivers this season, the times where it's been getting ready to pay off for him, something hasn't gone right. There's just been that one thing missing. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was something he felt like he needed to do a little better. But either way, that can all be erased with one win here tonight. The 92, I mean, once you get that first win of the season, you feel like your job's done. The goal of any race car driver in any sport is to grab at least one win a season. Of course, the more you get, the better it is, but it's the whole point of coming out here each and every race is to try to be the first one back to the checkered flag, grab the race win, and right now Clinton Woodby, again, looking like he is in good position to do that if these next 5 laps can stay green so that he can get to that white flag and make this race official. Just 6 laps to go now here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, as there goes Mark Beverly flying by some of these guys on fresher tires. And I wonder if for Mark Beverly there, if he decided to go with the Hail Mary strategy here of, well, let's see. First, I guess the question would be how far back is he? Yeah, he's a little too far back for the Hail Mary strategy to work. I take that back, but either way, Mark Beverly here should get himself back in position to maybe get a lucky dog if he can get around Lance Thompson and Jesse Calloway. He's got a ways before he's going to do that, and then for the rest of the battling that we have going on track, looks like it has all pretty much died down, mostly single file, as Haas Beverly's still chasing Kevin Winker. Winker is still chasing David Traylor, who's still chasing Joe Yakes. It looks like David Traylor here is still about 2 seconds behind Joe Yakes, so he has closed it up, but not sure if he's going to quite close it up and up. And then here we go. Jay Stinson was wondering if he would get to Michael Miller. He has. And the 2 car is going to take a peek to the inside. This is a battle for second. Stinson will take that spot. And what a move late in the race. Jay Stinson now puts him up to second. Still over 8.5 seconds, just about 8.5 seconds, I should say, between him and Woodby. He will not get there without a caution. But either way, how about a drive through the field on this final green flag run for Jay Stinson? He's up 9 total positions from where he started this race at. And this was after being involved in an incident here tonight that he had to use a fast repair for, then getting additional damage in that left rear and a couple other spots on the car, having to get it fixed optionally, and was still able to stick with the race and stick with enough pace to get himself back up here in a podium spot and in that second place position. So again, a really nice drive from Jay Stinson and a great recovery tonight. He's got to feel like that's a win, as Clinton Woodby catching what will be the last lap car or 2 that he will have to encounter this race. And it looks like that's going to be the 19 of Justin Parham for Noma Motorsports. That will add to the list of drivers that will be a lap down at the end of this one. That now puts just 11 cars on the lead lap. Matthew Fritz will be the next in line, and it looks like did Fritz have to go into pit there? Interesting look. That may have been what happened right there. Matthew Fritz may have had to go into pit, and sure enough he did. So now that'll put just 10 cars on the lead lap. Bill Hales still about 5 to 6 seconds or so ahead of the 92 in terms of actually on-track running spot. I guess I should say on-track timing to go a lap down, if you will. So Clinton Woodby, I don't believe, will catch Bill Hales to have to worry about any more lappers, and this is what he's been waiting for all night. Here we go. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Charlotte for Clinton Woodby. Clinton Woodby, again, we've seen him win before. No surprise that it was just a matter of time before he'd get the job done this season. Decided to set up strategy a little bit different than the rest of the field, and the best thing about when you go on a different strategy than the rest of the field is when it works, you don't have to contend with anybody else. White Knuckle Racing, they have been on fire over the course of the last few weeks, and that streak will continue here tonight as he works his way off of turn 4. How about a crown jewel win for Clinton Woodby? He is going to get the job done at Charlotte. First win of the season, wins it at a crown jewel, and extends the hot streak for White Knuckle Racing. What a win for Clinton Woodby. 8.9 seconds. The gap back to second. Jay Stinson brings that spot home. And then it's Michael Miller who rounds out the podium here tonight. Well, that one was certainly a battle of endurance through and through, and strategy play deemed the winner here tonight, as it deemed the stage winner here tonight as well. So drivers will have that down in their notes next time we come here. But looking at the rest of your finishing results here tonight, again, Clinton Woodby is your winner. Jay Stinson second, Michael Miller in third. Then it's Joe Yates back and fourth with David Traylor in fifth. Kevin Winker sixth with Haas Beverly in seventh. And it's Evan Schilling eighth, Rick LePage ninth, and Bill Hales rounding out your top 10. Justin Parr back in 11th, Colton Hardy 12th. Jesse Calloway 13th with Lance Thompson in 14th. And it's Mark Beverly back in 15th with Matthew Fritz in 16th. Jonathan Dominickson 17th with Dylan Pause back in 18th. And then rounding out the field here tonight, back in 19th is Keith Prince, Jesse Wise in 20th. And of course, Eric Hegdahl, who did not start the race, is being scored in 21st. Clinton Woodby continues to burn it down and celebrate here on the front stretch at Charlotte Motor Speedway. As he continues to do so, we're going to go grab him along with your other two top three finishers for an interview. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Charlotte. All right, and we're going to go ahead and kick things off here tonight with your race winner, Clinton Woodby. Clinton, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Well, you get your first win of the season here tonight. I know you technically won the Clash, but boy, we've seen you have so much speed so many times. How does it feel to finally kind of get that chip off your shoulder for the season?
Honestly, it just feels good to be on the other side of a bad pit call, because I just took my last set of tires on that last caution, and then normally I'm on the other end of that, so I was just glad to see it work out for a change.
Yeah, it works out tonight. We were actually mentioning that at the end of the broadcast, that sometimes when you decide to go with the bold strategy call, it doesn't always work, but when it does, you don't have to really contend with anybody else at the end of the race for it. Michael Miller hung tough with you there for a little bit, but I mean, once you started to stretch it out there, it seemed like it was pretty much over from there. But either way, I mean, we talk about all the tracks to win at. Charlotte, it's a crown jewel racetrack. Was that a little bit of the motivation to go out and try to do something different to get this win here tonight? And it appears that don't currently hear Clinton. Not sure what happened here. We'll just give a minute, see if we can pick him back up. Now let's go ahead and drag him down here and see if we can't bring him back up, see if that fixes it. Clinton, you still got us?
Picking up there, I don't know whose end it was on.
There we go. Not sure what happened, but I mean, did you hear the question that I asked you second? I mean, if not, the idea that I was still just kind of trying to get at, and I want to know how you feel about it, is, this is a track, Charlotte Motor Speedway, affiliated with the Coke 600. It's still considered a crown jewel win. I don't care what league you go into. Was that a little bit of the motivation behind going out and trying something different here tonight?
The goal was just to get a win, and that was probably my only shot to get it. So I was just, like you said, I was throwing it all against the wall just to see what would stick, and hopefully what I needed to would, and it did.
Well, sometimes it's just on-track speed. Other times it's about the strategy play, and you played that strategy right here tonight. So, hey, before we let you head out to go celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to my girlfriend Megan and Blair Peterson with Win a Bid Diecast, and all of Masami Law Firm. Can't thank them enough for sticking with me, and appreciate everybody for watching tonight.
Thank you for talking to us, Clinton. Congrats on the win, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
All right, now that's going to bring us up to your second place finisher here on the night, Jay Stinson for Noma Motorsports. Jay, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Austin. What's going on, buddy?
Well, you bring home a second place finish, but I mean, I would think it's got to feel kind of like a win after the nights you have. You get involved in two wrecks. One takes a fast repair. The other one, I didn't know if you'd be able to get it repaired, and yet you still managed to get back out and get all the way back up to second. How'd you pull that one off?
Look, to be honest with you, I wasn't happy on the first wreck. Was just one of those things. It just happens. The second one, nothing he could really do, but I wasn't happy about it. He kind of hit the wall and then lost it and came back up, and really not his fault or nothing he could do about it. But we had about a minute into 5, something like that, of damage, got it all fixed, and I got to apologize to Lance Thompson. I was blocking and defending and doing everything I could on old tires to keep myself as the first car a lap down. And normally I wouldn't do that, and so I'm just going to apologize from him now and say sorry. But that's the only way I could get back on the lead lap if caution came out.
And it worked out, too. You got yourself back up to that second place finish. And, I mean, man, overall for Noma Motorsports here tonight, certainly not the best showing. We saw the team have a lot of momentum early on in the season. Is it just kind of a slump right now? And what needs to be changed to get Noma Motorsports back in the conversation?
No, I thought, you get, sometimes it just happens that way. You get caught up in a bad wreck or, you make a mistake like I normally do or, just stuff like that happens. But I think the team overall was in good spirits, and we just had a bad run for some of us tonight. I had a bad run. I just got lucky with tire strategy and was able to save my stuff a little bit and make moves there at the end. So, overall, I'm proud of the team. They've done a great job, and I appreciate them coming out every week and racing.
And Jay, we appreciate you talking to us as well. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Always you for broadcasting. It's always a good time to go back and watch these things, and we appreciate you on Saturday nights as well. The league owners and admin who put this on and take their time to get this stuff together and ready. I know it's not easy, personal experience, so I appreciate those guys. My teammates, of course, Matt and Justin, Kenneth, Joey, for those guys' support and always coming out and having a good time and just enjoying racing with those guys. And then the league itself, and then congratulations to Clinton Woodby on a great pit strategy and a great race.
And Jay, again, congrats to yourself on that second place finish. Hopefully we'll see you out here again next week.
Yes, sir. Have a good.
All right, and now that is going to bring us up to your final podium finisher here on the night. And that is Michael Miller. Michael, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you bring home a third place finish here tonight. You go with a similar strategy call to the man that won the race. And, boy, it was a bold call, but did you feel like that was the move you wanted to make here tonight after the speed you had early on?
Yeah, I just kind of follow the guy in front of me. If they pit, I pit. That's kind of the strategy for me. I don't have any teammates, so just do what I can.
Well, that kind of brings up the next question I was going to actually ask you is, you're out here, you don't have any teammates, so how does that kind of change the way you have to run these races? I mean, you can't get advice, so, you hung with Clinton Woodby there for quite a while. Do you think there was anything, or do you wish there was anything you would have done different there to stick with the 92, maybe to the end?
Nah, I tried to keep up with him. I pushed a little too hard. Tires wore out pretty quick, so at the end there, I was full left to the 90 degrees, just trying to get it turned left, so just glad to bring home third, I reckon.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Michael, a podium finish. I believe that this is your best finish of the season so far, so little spark momentum to get things going. So before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
No, just everybody in the league. Mark Beverly hosting this thing, picked me up a few years ago. It's been fun running with him. Good bunch of people. So,
Michael, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the third place finish, and we will see you next week.
Yep, 10-4.
All right, there you go. Well, that is just about going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Charlotte. Another good race and a dominant performance in the final run based off a strategy call. That's what got Clinton Woodby the win here tonight. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. We'll be back next week at Gateway. But until then, that's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. And until next time, have a good night.